Good evening and welcome back to UCL News. As always, my name is Mia and I'm your UCL London presenter.
My name's Lucy and I'm your UCL Global News presenter.
But tonight we are very honoured to be presenting a very special segment. We are here with some of the candidates for the 2024 Student Union President elections, and we're here tonight to talk to them and find out why you should vote for them. So we'll start off simple. We'll just get to know all of our candidates. Nick, do you want to start and maybe just introduce yourself, what you studied, and a little bit?
Sure, yeah. My name's Nick. My pronouns are he, him. I study philosophy. I'm in final year. I specialize in ethics and political philosophy. So,
That's really
yeah.
My name is Goksu, pronouns she, her. I'm from Turkey and I study politics, sociology, and East European studies at SEAS. Yep.
My name is Windbrake and I'm also a straight philosophy student. Pronouns are she, her. And I focus on logic and analytical philosophy, which is interesting. But I spend most of my time doing stuff in UCL Arts, mainly arts, to be fair.
Great. So the Student Union is such an important part of the everyday life of UCL students, and the role of president is so central to that. So what makes you think that you're well suited to such an important key role? Do you want to start, Jenny?
Yeah, sure. Well, as I mentioned, I basically spent most of my time doing stuff in the Students' Union. So I've been actually in the studio for most of my first years at uni because I was the studio and equipment manager and did a lot of film stock stuff. And then last year I produced King Charles III, which was one of the drama Bloom's shows. Actually also won Best Blues Production. Sorry about that. And this year I produced The Producers, which was the musical theatre blues show. I guess I just have a lot of experience working here. I do volunteering outside of UCL, and actually I wasn't really aware that UCL had this massive kind of like volunteering society or community. And I tried to be a member of a sports society, but then because of the kind of massive interest and kind of lack of resources and limited spaces, I couldn't really be involved in that, and that was such a shame. So I think I have a broad variety of experience within the Students' Union, which is why I also know how certain processes go, and I think I understand where there's room for improvement, and I have, I'd say, the understanding, the skill set, and the motivation to change it.
It's great.
Yeah. You're next.
I moved to the UK at the age of 17 by myself, and I know nothing about this country or its people. In 2 years' time, I became the deputy head girl and head of a house at my school. And this essentially taught me to basically lead by example, and I think taught me a lot about like leadership in general. And after I came to UCL, I basically revived the UCL Turkish Society. We had a massive campaign for the earthquake aid, which took place last year, and apparently it was the UK's biggest student-led campaign. Even Prime Minister Rishi Sunak came to visit us, and dealing with the logistics side of things and being in contact with the consulates and embassies. I think I also learned about stakeholder management, and given my internship in Brussels within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of my country, I just have the communication skills, the adequate communication skills for this role, I think. So in a way, when you tie everything together, I think I have enough motivation and the skill set to actually prosper in this role.
Wow, yeah.
Cool. Have to follow that. So I've actually been involved with the SU for the last 3 or so years in various capacities. I was HORAP first at my horse. Shout out to Goldsmith. Really far away. But yeah, lovely people. I was HORAP, and I had the opportunity to be involved with UCL and the union on a representative level at clubs and societies. I got to run the Juggling Circus Society, which is I assume where most people know me from. Unfortunately, I also do a load of other things. I've been accommodation officer last year, to some success. I've been to NUS last year. I'm going again this year to Blackpool, which is exciting because I've never been. But yeah, I think these experiences have taught me, if anything, that we're a great student community, but there's a lot more that we can do, especially in terms of getting people engaged with the students' union. Because like from what I've seen, the biggest problem with the SU is that people don't care, and there's good reason for it. Because you guys are involved in club and societies, like how painful it is to do anything practically. Think of the paperwork, etc. And if you're not already involved in the students' union, there's no good reason to be fairly honest, because of how invisible we are as an organization. Like, to be honest, I'm not sure if anyone's going to watch this.
Well, viewers.
I do write for the Cheese Gracer magazine, so there you go. So I like to think that I know the union inside and out, because I'm society's rep for Student Media this year, and I also write for the Cheese Gracer magazine as SU correspondent. So I kind of know, I like to think I know the union kind of inside and out, and I have the expertise and know-how to address those problems.
I know it's great to have three candidates who are so passionate and qualified, which is a little intimidating. I hate speaking to UCL students because they're always so talented and wonderful. But Goksu, I really liked what you were just to pick up on what you were saying about that experience you had of coming over here at 17 and being integrated into a completely different culture. Because I think we are so lucky to be at a uni that prides itself on being London's global university. We're very lucky to be at a uni that does have such a high level of international students. So I guess I'll start with you and then maybe Jenny and Nick, but just how do you feel as president that you could continue to ensure that so many international students' voices are represented and so many different perspectives are still kind of being championed by the Students' Union?
If I become elected the president of the Students' Union UCL, I will do my best liaising with activities and engagement officer to actually create this environment in which all voices can be heard in. And I think we need to boost cultural engagement. In my capacity as Turkish Society president this year, I tried to do many collabs with other societies to just have that cultural, communication getting around UCL. And I think we can do so much for that. Obviously, I don't have anything like literally planned at the moment, but I think it's mainly to do with the equity and inclusion officer and the activities and engagement officer and the president actually coming up with ideas.
No, that's so great. Thank you. Jenny, do you want to maybe follow on?
Yes. Well, I also came to the UK from Germany in 2021. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm working on it, trust me. But yeah, so I do understand the whole issue of inclusion and something that I really, really love about UCL is that it's such a diverse community, because most of my friends now come from different countries, and it's something where you just keep on learning. And I, for example, realized if you have a meeting at 4, there's no point in showing up at 4. It's always 4:15. So stuff like that I actually really enjoy because it broadens your horizon, etc. I think the main quality as a president is that you should be open to listen, because I know that as the president, you're representing people. You can't do everything yourself. And so I think one of the main things for me is just to listen to the people who kind of have certain experiences, have opinions, whether that be the president of, let's say, not German society, but like I know each kind of country has their own society, sort of, like talking to them, talking to the representatives who represent kind of, different cultural groups, I guess. And then what you said as well, it's the activities engagement officer, inclusion and welfare, and I think there's also an international students officer. So just kind of liaising with them. And one thing that I've planned is, if I would become president, I would set up a feedback hub. So kind of just for everyone, very accessible to give direct feedback. So I think that would fall in that as well.
That's really wonderful. Thank you both so much. And finally, not last but not least, definitely Nick.
I came to this country when I was 15, about 6 years ago, because I grew up in Hong Kong. But I have home status. So I like to think I kind of understand the perspectives from the international student side, because, I'm, practically an immigrant myself, but also the home student side. So I'm quite fortunate to be in that position where I can, see both sides of the coin. As president, I wouldn't pretend that I have all the answers. Like, it's like you guys said, being able to represent a diverse range of voices. Because when I was a student officer, one of the big things that I felt was there wasn't, enough support from sabbatical officers coming up, from the top. So I would really work with the student officers to get their input, because that's what they're here for. They're here to represent, their individual groups, like say, international students officers, or international students, and so on and so forth. And I will utilize their perspectives, because that's what the Students' Union is here for, to represent that range of opinions. And again, like linking back to what I said earlier, that really requires people participating in the SU. And that's why I think, getting people to care and to participate is like the first step to, any improvements at UCL. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, just great responses all around. Really putting us to shame with your professionalism. But it's really hard to be a student right now. I think we'd all agree. So many things that we're facing: housing crisis, cost of living crisis. But what do you three think the biggest issue facing UCL students in particular is? Could be nationwide. It could be to do with the union. It could be to do with London. And if elected, what would you do to address this? So shall we start with Nick?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say it's housing at the moment for students at UCL, in London in general as well, but at UCL particularly. Because when I was accommodation officer last year, one of the big things that I had to do was respond to emails of students basically saying, "Hi, I can't find accommodation." Like in August, and saying, I'm starting in 2 weeks, like, what do I do? And the thing is, as a student officer, there's nothing you can do apart from respond to that email and say, sorry about your situation, but, here are the signposts, and you can link them to so on and so forth. But there's only so much you could do. Which again, as a student union, we're not going to pretend we have the magic bullet to the national housing crisis. But there's things we can do, on an advocacy level, and I think locally as in within UCL, because I understand there's been talks about setting up a food bank or a community fridge at UCL. I'm not sure where those talks are going, but I'd like to see them happen. I do, what we can, in our capacity to help students. And I think part of that requires, again, students participating and voicing their opinions, because I don't have all the perspectives, I don't have your perspective as, arts and, well, I do art as well, but from a musical theatre, I don't know, just an example. Do you know what I mean?
I can give it to you afterwards.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I know it's
No.
Yeah.
No, that was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
My turn?
Yes.
So, UCL Students' Union is home to 52,000 students currently, but we still don't have a home because we don't have a building. The Students' Union doesn't have a building. And I feel like this is the biggest issue for students, because we don't really have, well, I'm a student now as well, so we don't really have a space where we can, host our events in, have our activities at. And I feel like my priority would be to actually liaise with UCL to actually get us a building. And I feel like the whole UCL experience lacks quality, and I think that's the biggest issue students are facing. Whether it be, libraries not having enough heating or flooding toilets, I think the whole experience should be enhanced and elevated. And if I become elected, I will do my best liaising with UCL estates on such urgent matters. But also, just like you said, housing is a big issue. Cost of living crisis affects the UK generally. And I think we need to, as SU, we need to basically use our commercial enterprises in more strategic ways so that we can help more students. So, yeah, I think these are sufficient.
Yeah. Well, I agree with both of you. I think it's really hard to kind of pinpoint one specific issue that's like the biggest one. If I had to do it, which I guess I do now, is I'd say it's a bit of a lack of community, because all of these issues are really like real world issues. But I think, let's say, if you feel like you're part of a community, you can kind of still get through it. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of them international, but even people from within the UK, they come to London. It's such a big city. It's massive. And I think it's also just so fast-paced. It's one of the most fast-paced cities in the world, probably. And so I feel like sometimes it feels as if everything is rolling, everything is just going, and going too fast, and you feel like you're being left behind. Whereas I feel if there was a proper sense of community, that would be bearable. And I think just from the nature of the size of UCL, but also like the way that we are in the center of London with a lot of other universities around us, sometimes I think kind of a lack of campus feeling falls into that issue of lack of community. And I'm not naive enough to think that I could fix it myself and make sure that like everyone feels included. But I think it's important to kind of set the framework so that everyone can find some sort of smaller community, whether that be the halls or some sort of society, which I think at the moment is working for the people that are already in the SU. But I think there was like a questionnaire, and I think 45% of the people didn't even know that the SU existed. So I think kind of what I would do to try and tackle it is create a space where people can come together. I know that there are ongoing estate development plans at the moment, but I think they will take so long that we won't actually experience it. So I think the two main things I would do is improve the mentoring scheme that we have. I think for the first 2 years, you get kind of like a mentor, but it's only for your like seminar group. And I felt like I didn't get enough from that experience. I think the idea is great, but there is a lot of improvement there. And then the second thing, coming back to what I said before, setting up a feedback hub so that we can know what the community thinks, what the biggest issue of UCL actually is.
That's really wonderful. Thank you.
And just to finish off, because I feel like you guys have had a bit of a hard time in the episodes. I mean, you did it really well. You did it really well, but just to give you a light softball to finish it off. What's your favourite thing about UCL? Because we're all UCL students, and if you're going to be the president, what makes you proud to come to UCL? What makes you proud to say that you're a UCL student?
I know it's like the generic answer to go to, especially in the setting, and I know people won't believe me, but it is actually the SU. I think UCL offers so many great extracurricular opportunities. I actually came to UCL because of Film Society, because of like the extracurricular stuff. And it's something whenever I go home, people say, so what do you study? I'm like, that's not the interesting question. Like I'm so proud of the opportunities that we've been given, and UCL keeps providing for students. I guess it's the Students' Union and societies.
Yeah, I really love that. Goksu?
My answer to this would be the word diversification, just because we have a diverse student body, we have so many degree programs we can choose from, and before coming to UCL, it has always been my dream school. When I saw Portugal for the first time, I literally fell in love with it. The whole setting, the whole campus. I just loved being in the city center, and I saw how busy the students were on my first day on campus, and I just loved it. I love the culture at UCL, the diverse culture, and I can't finish it off.
That's
Sorry.
wonderful, honestly. And then, Nick, if you want to finish us off.
I'd say it's the people, and look, I know it's a bit of a cliche answer. Oh, what do you love is the people. I mean that in the sense of you can always find your own kind of group, because I like to think I'm kind of a niche kind of like type of person, but I still manage to find like a bunch of weirdos in juggling circus, and it's great. Like the SU lets us do this kind of stuff. Like we burn fire on the quad like once a month. Like we tweet like random stuff, and like we're allowed to do that. Like I thought I get stops like ages ago, but I think to round up is like the being able to find your own little group as part of a bigger group. I think that's quite a unique attribute that I couldn't find anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, it's truly one of a kind.
Yeah,
they should clip those responses and put it on their website. Material. Well, I guess the only thing to say is thank you so much for your time and your responses today. They've been so amazing. We hope that you as viewers have found this informative and entertaining. Don't forget to cast your vote in the 2024 leadership race. Voting starts 11th of March. And this has been the PiTV news coverage of the 2024 leadership elections. Well done, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.